Hi, friends. So, I was looking up the definition of major depressive disorder, or MDD, which I suffer from. And trigger warning, this might be a little bit hard to hear. Mentions of SI and self harm. So, major depressive disorder is characterized by prolonged experiences of not being able to feel joy, loss of interest in things that you love, and like prolonged, like sad feelings. I'm sure there's a better definition in the world. I've struggled with, I was first diagnosed with MDD when I was 18 and tried to commit suicide. I'm pretty sure that I have had it since middle school. I think that's really when my battle with mental illness really began. Um, that's when I started self harming because I didn't know how to cope. I didn't have anyone that I felt that I could turn to talk about it and talk about my feelings, so I coped with what I knew. And um, unfortunately, it was self harm. And I still struggle with feeling that way. As I've gone through intensive treatments and therapies, sorry, my cat is just in jungle mode. I still have the urges, but often I will do something else. Like I will start petting my animals, which I can't because she's hunting something, or I will start petting, like grounding techniques, like touching blankets, um, playing mindfulness games, things like that. And the reason I'm opening up about MDD is um, is it can really happen to anybody at any time. And I typically, when I'm in a healthy state, I'm happy, I'm bubbly, I smile a lot, I'm laughing. And I read this thing about sometimes the happiest people are some of the most depressed or struggle with it, like Robin Williams. And you're not alone if you have depressive episodes, if it's a lifelong thing like I've been dealing with. For example, I love Pilates for honestly God knows what reason, because it's so much core work and I do not have a very strong core, but I love it anyway. I used to go for 8 classes a week, and I was on vacation with my family and I fell, and when we were ziplining. So ziplining is not a thing that I have interest in anymore. But I fell. I essentially like broke my body. I didn't like major break anything, but I messed up my teeth, um, which my mom spent a lot of money for me to have friends because my teeth were jacked up. I was basically black and blue all over my arms, my legs. I yeah, it wasn't a great time. It was still a good vacation though. I love my family. And that was a trigger for me that like spiraled me down back into depression, because everything I loved, I could barely move. I couldn't move my body. I mean, I could breathe essentially, but I couldn't move my body without being in pain. Like even just like if I was sitting down and I didn't move at all, then I was fine. But if you just like shift a little bit, I'd get like those searing pains. And things like that, or when I was let go from one of my jobs, depression hits you hard, and it hit me hard a lot in life. And there's a lot of things that you might not know are like signs of mental illness. Like, I have always kind of been a messy person, to be perfectly honest. But like, I kept my room relatively clean, meaning like I didn't have clothes on the floor. I didn't, I would leave like my purse on my desk or something, or I'd have a chair that, the chair that has like the slightly dirty clothes. Like, it would have one or two like dresses on it or something. And then once I was let go from my first corporate job, I really didn't realize that depression was going to hit me. Like, my room became a mess. You could barely see the floor. I worked second shift, and I worked from 4 p.m. to midnight, and I would sleep until like 2 or 3 p.m., get up, go to work, come home, eat, go to sleep, and just didn't want to do anything. And I thought, until I was in intensive treatment, it was because I was just too weak to deal with life, that I couldn't hack it. And I'd been told several times to just kind of snap out of it. And while I understand why people would say that, because that kind of seems like the right thing to do, right? Like, there was always the like, choose to be happy, like choose to get over it. I'm embellishing a little bit, but the sentiment of like, just get over it is, for me, it was really difficult to hear. And I was always called lazy, and fair to a certain extent. Yes, I am. But like, I guess I wanted to talk about my life and my struggles with mental illness, because sometimes just knowing that there's someone else in the world who feels the same way, or has felt like the world just dealt you a shit hand of cards and you have to deal with it anyway. Just finding people that struggle or have struggled, it's just like makes me feel understood. And I don't want people to think that they're weak, or they're lazy, or they're not good enough because they struggle with mental illness. It's literally an illness. And I know that the word is in the title, but until I was in intensive treatment full time for months on end, I still thought that, like, I'm just too weak. I just can't get it. I am not good enough. And that's not true. I have horrible eyesight. And living in a world, like, before I was in therapy, I feel like I was living in a world that I couldn't see in. It was not fair because I didn't have the tools, like the glasses, to deal with with my illnesses. So instead of being handed a mindfulness tool, instead of being taught self-compassion and common humanity and mindfulness, I learned to suck it up, Buttercup, to you're too emotional, to disorders and illnesses, life is just harder sometimes. Like, and everyone suffers. I understand that. But it's defeating sometimes to, like, when I was first in therapy, I learned that I really like to check things off lists. So I started writing, instead of calling it a to-do list, I found that words are extremely powerful. So I started calling my to-do list a wish list. So that way, if I didn't get everything done, like, it's not a big deal. I was just wishing about it. And so every weekend I would sit and I would, like, write out what I have to do today. I gotta wake up. I gotta brush my teeth. I have to make my bed. I have to take care of the pups. And I break it down into, like, morning, afternoon, evening routines, work routines, all these things. And it made me happy, right? Just, like, checking things off. But, you know, months down the line, when I'm out of treatment, I wasn't in therapy anymore, I just didn't want to do it. Like, you're telling me that people can just wake up and not have to put things on a list to get them done? And I just didn't want to do it. And to be fair, I had the tool to combat my mental illness, but I didn't want to do it. Because at least when I struggle with depression, I don't want to have a more difficult life. I don't want to make sure that I have my panic medicine when I need it. I don't want to constantly make sure that I know where the nearest door is in case I go into a panic attack. And I'm going on a very long tangent, so I'm going to wrap it up. But anyway, if you struggle with depression, you're not alone. Thank you so much for your time, guys. I love you so much. And if no one's told you today, you got this.